Now, throughout this course, I'm gonna be using different kinds of markers from different brands because as you saw earlier, you can use, they all pretty much work the same. All you have to worry about is to get alcohol-based markers. Don't get that color markers though. Everything else other than that is fine. And once you have those, you can start to practice blending. Now you only need a few markers to create a bunch of different shades, which I'm going to show you right now. So let's just start by first making a, let's say we want to have a plain surface with no curvature at all. I'm going to show you how you actually apply markers to this and the best techniques to use. So I'm going to use something in between 1 and 10, so probably 5 is a good idea. So I'm using Cool Gray 5 for this. Now what you want to do, if you've seen my videos before, if you've seen my videos before, you know that I'm a fan of kind of dirty sketches and a little bit messy. And the more perfect you're trying to get the sketch, the more boring or uninteresting it becomes, in my opinion. So don't worry about getting the lines perfect or go over the lines that you're sketching. It doesn't matter because you can always go back and fix that. So what I like to do is start from one edge and just quickly go over it all the way down like this. And then if you want to, you can do the same thing but from the other way around, so you get a more smooth application of the ink. Now remember, this is just a plain surface that we're not going to have any gradients in or anything like that. So you can see here that we went over the lines here, but what I do is just go in with the edge of this marker, so the triangular corner here, just to clean up the edges like this. And if it looks dirty, then it's perfect. Something like that. And you know, you can always go in with a big pen to clean it up even more if you want to do that. If this is still too dirty, then we can always go in with a big pen and add some contrast to the edges like this. And at the bottom. So that's the basics of sketching with markers. You want to keep speed and go from one end to the other and then the other way around if you want to do that. It's not necessary to go both ways, but I like to do it just because it gets a smoother result. So now we want to, let's say we want to have this surface, but we want to have it as a, we want to have a roundness to it. So we're going to start by adding some light markers up here all the way to dark down here, but we're going to have the same kind of shape. So I'm going to do the same square or whatever again. But this time we're gonna practice some marker blending. All right, cool. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna use 3 markers. I'm gonna start with Cool Gray, or actually at least a Neutral Gray. So Neutral Gray 2, 5, and I think 6 is a big jump between 5 and 6 on these. So I'm gonna do 3, 2, 5, and 6. So first of all, you always want to start with the lightest shade. So what I'm gonna do is go over the whole sketch or the whole surface like this. With the Neutral Gray 2, which is the lightest shade that I'm gonna be using. Like that. And then if you want to, you can use a blend marker or a zero marker, which is one of these. I think they're called blend markers too. What they will do is to kind of prepare the surface for blending, so it's gonna get it wet. And that's what I'm doing right now, just putting down this. Like that. And while it's still wet, I want to go into the next shade, which is going to be cool, the Neutral Gray 5. And get some really nice blending going here. And still wet, I'm gonna jump into Neutral Gray 6. So you can see we still have a strong contrast between 5 and 6 because it's such a huge step with these markers. I don't know why, but what we don't want to do now is go back to the 5 and just go over that high contrast area to kind of level that out. And we're gonna do the same between 2 and 5. So I'm going back to number 2 now to just smooth out this area right there. I can actually use number 2 down here as well, just to get some more blending going on. And here we have a nice blended surface with only 3 markers. And I'm gonna go in with the big pen again and just clean up the lines or the edges. The step between 5 and 6, in my opinion, with these Artist Loft markers is a little bit too strong of a step. It gets dark very, very quick. I think there should be one step in between in the gray shading between 5 and 6, because this was 2 to 5 and you can barely see any difference, but then when you go from 5 to 6, all of a sudden you get almost black down here. So it's kind of weird, but that totally depends on what kind of markers you're using, obviously. And if you're still not happy and you only have a few markers to work with, that's when the big pen comes in handy, because we can use the big pen to even this out even more. So what I can do is I can go down here and do some line shading right at the bottom here. Where the darkest spot is going to be. And if you have a white pencil available, also very useful to get the to brighten up some parts of this surface. Maybe even make a ground reflection here so that the ground is actually reflecting up on this surface and making it a little shiny at the bottom. Let's see if we can go in and blend these two more. Maybe. I don't think the paper can take any more than that. It's gonna bleed through, even though it's marker paper, but it's still a little bit too heavy of a transition between 5 and 6, but it's all good. As I said, it depends on what kind of markers you're using. So these are the basic principles of a blending with markers. We could even go in with a 4th marker down here. So this is number 8. So it went from 6 to 8. Just add that down there, because why not? It obviously gets a lot easier the more markers you have available. So if you just have 3, you kind of have to work with the big pen or a white pencil to smooth the transitions out. But if you have more markers, then you're all set to just use the markers.